Hey, this week in the pastor study, we talked a little bit about our Lenten theme, again and again. Again and again, we encounter difficulties in life. Again and again, we read about hard things in Scripture. We read about death and deception and destruction and disobedience and darkness. And again, we observe a season that leads to the cross. And yet, again and again, we celebrate resurrection and restoration. Again and again, we experience God's presence in new and sustaining ways, new and beautiful ways, new and life-changing ways, new and life-giving ways. And this week's text takes us to a narrative that's familiar to many folks, whether you've spent a lot of time in church or not. It's the story of Noah. Remember Noah and his ark? And in the 6th chapter of Genesis, before Noah jumps on his ark, before Noah builds his ark, probably before Noah knows what an ark is, God looks down at the earth and determines that it is replete with wickedness and corruption. And so God determines to wipe it out, to scrub it, to destroy it with a flood. And in our text for this week, Genesis 9, 8 through 17, the flood waters have receded, and God makes a promise to Noah that God would never do this again. God enters into a covenant with all of creation, claiming that God will never again allow floodwaters to destroy all living things. And God makes a rainbow. God makes a rainbow that will hang in the sky as a symbol and a reminder of this promise so that God won't forget. In our time together on Tuesday, we talked about how even in planning to destroy the earth, God must have also planned to preserve it, because God chose Noah and his family, and God chose seeds of all creation to ride out the flood on an ark. And God charges them all as they exit the boat to go out to be fruitful and multiply. And we talked about how the flood and this promise seemed to show that God somehow changed or transformed in this story, but how it wasn't God's character or identity changing. It was a change or a transformation in how God allowed God's self to be known to all of creation. This new world would begin knowing that this all-powerful, all-knowing God was also full of mercy. We talked about how even in our darkest moments, in the midst of difficulty and trial, in the midst of corruption and chaos, God meets us with mercy. And God allows us moments of joy and reminders of goodness and hope that holds us. And we talked about how necessary it is for us to continue to tell this story to our children, not because it's a children's story, but because we need them to grow up knowing love, knowing mercy, knowing what the rainbow means, knowing that Jesus came to keep that same promise, and knowing that we have a responsibility through our lives to carry and reflect that same mercy to the world. Good thoughts. So don't forget to join us next Tuesday at either 11 a.m. or 7 p.m. You can click on the description for more information. And don't forget to join us this Sunday for worship at 9:30 or 11 to hear more about this text.